Good afternoon. Today I'm pleased to convene this hearing of the Appropriations Subcommittee on Financial Services and General Government to discuss standards for the flammability of residential upholstered furniture and the use of flame retardant chemicals, and whether efforts to date are adequately protecting American consumers. I'm going to be joined later by Senator Moran, my ranking member, and possibly Senator Frank Lautenberg and other colleagues. I thank them all for their interest in this issue. I welcome the Chairman of the Consumer Product Safety Commission, Inez Tannenbaum, and the Acting Assistant Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency's Office of Chemical Safety and Pollution Prevention, James Jones. I'll also welcome our second panel of witnesses we'll hear from a little later. Why are we holding this hearing? According to the National Fire Loss Estimates for 2005 to 2009, upholstered furniture was the first household item to ignite in an average of 7,040 reported home structure fires every year. These fires caused an estimated annual average of 500 deaths, 890 injuries, and $442 million in direct property damage. Once upholstered furniture ignited, it burns extremely rapidly because of the fuel in the upholstery filling materials. Lighted tobacco products, or smoking materials, remain the leading cause of upholstered furniture fires and associated losses. 1 out of every 6 such fires started by smoking materials resulted in death. In May, the Chicago Tribune published a 4-part series on flame retardant chemicals. It was an eye-opener. It explored the role of the major tobacco companies, which sought to shift focus away from cigarettes as the cause of fire deaths, and chemical companies which wanted to preserve a market for their products. Tobacco industry efforts with state fire marshals steered policymakers away from developing a fire-safe cigarette and instead toward rules requiring furniture flammability standards. That in turn led to the widespread use of flame retardant chemicals. The Tribune articles also highlighted research showing that flame retardant chemicals escape from household products and settle in dust, causing infants, toddlers to have higher levels of these chemicals in their bodies than their parents. American newborns have the highest recorded concentration of flame retardant chemicals than any infant in any other country. This led Graco, one of the nation's largest children's products manufacturers, to ban the use of some toxic flame retardants in their products. Graco has recently announced that they will begin eliminating 4 of the most toxic flame retardant chemicals from their products, including car seats and strollers. The list of banned chemicals includes Firemaster 550, a chemical mixture that the current research and even the Tribune articles have shown to accumulate in humans and in the environment. The chemical industry points to research justifying the use of fire retardants. The Chicago Tribune exposes that research many times as distorted and based on manipulated data. Finally, the series discusses the toxicity of flame retardants and the difficulties that EPA faces in restricting the use of flame retardant chemicals in furniture. What we will learn today is a little more about fires, furniture, fire retardant chemicals, and maybe as important, the role of the government when it comes to these issues. On our first panel, we're going to hear from the Consumer Product Safety Commission, an obvious first stop in this conversation. They've been working, as you will find, for many years on a proposed standard for the flammability of upholstered furniture. Upholstered furniture that catch fires is a leading cause of death in residential fires from consumer products. In recent years, CPSC has been working on a standard that would require upholstery to resist smoldering cigarettes, which are by far the leading cause of furniture fire. To complete an upholstered furniture flammability standard, CPSC must comply with the Flammable Fabrics Act passed by Congress, which sets the standards for testing. They're wide-ranging and lengthy, the standards. As part of them, CPSC conducted testing to establish the effectiveness of different strategies on reducing furniture flammability. I expect the CPSC will provide an update on this research, the status of rulemaking, the remaining steps to finalize a rule, and any outstanding issues. Also on the first panel, we'll hear from the Environmental Protection Agency. They regulate the manufacture and use of flame retardant chemicals under the Toxic Substances Control Act. Recent scientific research has demonstrated these chemicals accumulate in the environment and can cause cancer, neurological disorders, and impaired reproduction. During this hearing, we hope to learn more about the public health and environmental effects of flame retardant chemicals used in furniture. Additionally, we hope to hear what authority the Toxic Substance Control Act, TSCA, gives EPA to regulate these potentially dangerous chemicals, and any recent actions taken by the EPA with respect to them. The next panel, we're going to hear from an Illinois-based company well known to most, Underwriters Laboratory. It's an independent, not-for-profit standards developer that tests products and certifies those that are consistent with public safety and those that are not. Over time, the company has built a brand that reassures consumers that products that they're purchasing are safe. In 2008, Underwriters Laboratory initiated testing on different methods of reducing upholstered furniture flammability and reducing the fire growth rate of upholstered furniture. Some of their findings will likely have us taking a second look at the furniture we have in our own homes. They are here today to discuss the results of their testing on furniture flammability. We're going to also hear from the American Home Furnishings Alliance, representing the manufacturers and importers of residential furniture that include upholstered furniture. Much like the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the manufacturers have been involved in developing upholstered furniture flammability standards. They will share their insights regarding current standards and ongoing work with the CPSC to determine a new standard. Finally, we're going to hear from a veteran firefighter and fire safety expert to discuss the changes that have taken place in America affecting home fire safety and the factors leading to home fires. He'll also tell us about the human cost associated with fire and very simple steps, including creating effective flammability standards that we can take to help reduce this risk for consumers and firefighters alike. After reading the Chicago Tribune articles, I was struck by several disturbing things. First, the intentional distortion and manipulation of research in order to deceive Americans into thinking that the use of flame retardant chemicals in furniture provided additional protection in home fires, even though the data do not support the claim. The extensive lobbying and significant funding spent by chemical companies and the tobacco industry to ensure that flame retardant chemicals were used in furniture and to suppress opposition to their inclusion. And the growing awareness that flame retardant chemicals in furniture may not add any benefit and in many cases may cause harm to public health and environment. Generations of Americans have been asked to tolerate what may be an unsafe level of exposure to potentially toxic chemicals in their furniture in the name of fire safety. If the scientific evidence suggests this solution is not justified, we must move quickly to update our upholstered furniture flammability standards and limit our exposure to these dangerous chemicals. Today, we'll attempt to gain a clear understanding of whether consumers are protected from flammability of furniture, a leading cause of house fires. We'll explore what's been happening with residential upholstered furniture flammability standards and the effectiveness of these chemicals. We'll start by exploring the CPSC process for finalizing the standard and then move to the EPA for their statements on the actual chemicals involved.